All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is Kara Shug and Dr. Ron, and you are in for a treat today. So we want to welcome you. We want to thank you very much for being here with us. And if you haven't heard of us before, we'll give you a little bit of background. So my name's Kara Shug, and I'm here with Dr. Ron, and we are so glad to have you here because you're exploring how to have greater success with a lot more ease. So, this isn't another strategy session. It's an invitation to stop striving and start aligning. Guys, I know if you're here, you've likely achieved more than most people, but what got you here will not take you to where you truly want to go. The next level isn't about more effort or strategy or hustle. It's about healing what's unresolved and accessing the full intelligence of your mind, your heart, and leading from presence, clarity, and power. Dr. Ron, would you share a little bit of your story?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, over the past 5 decades, I've been fortunate enough to achieve some incredible things. As a young man competing as a U.S. rowing champion, and later serving as an executive VP and writing best-selling books, and of course, now being the founder and president of Ronstadt's International and working with leaders who are running multi-million and multi-billion dollar companies, and so. But I've also seen the dark side of leadership, whether it was in the military, certainly, in corporations, and even in spiritual communities. And, at one point, I'd watch these leaders and go, oh, I don't want to do that. But at one point, I caught myself starting to adopt some of those unhealthy patterns and that I truly promised myself that I'd never fall into. And that was my wake-up call. I stepped back and did the critically important inner work and became aware and healed what was sabotaging me and what was triggering me to go into those old patterns and creating really struggle in my life. And that inner journey shifted everything from leading through what I would call pressure and control to leading from clarity and wholeness and much more conscious and effective place. As my clients have shared, as leaders, we've got to recognize and appreciate how much our personal and professional journey go hand in hand. You know, the audience, you're here because you've accomplished a lot. I really recognize and appreciate that. But I also suspect that even with all your accomplishments, there's still something that feels off. And so let's have Kara, thank you for letting me share. Let's have Kara share a bit about her story so we can, you know what we're about.
Yeah, so guys, I mean, literally on paper, I had it all. I owned a thriving real estate team. I was teaching realtors for the state of New Mexico. I was speaking. I was coaching some of the top business owners. I was hosting my podcast, investing in real estate, married for over a quarter of a century, traveling wherever I wanted, and living in my dream home. I never really had to worry about money. And so from the outside looking in, it looked like I was completely living the dream. But in 2020, it all started to unravel. And so I was diagnosed with a desmoid tumor, and everything changed. My diet was restricted, my exercise routine was like super intense, and my thoughts were, they were honestly pretty dark. I stayed super busy to avoid thinking too much. And when I wasn't working, I was learning podcasts, audiobooks, constant noise, anything to not be alone with my thoughts. And then I read a book called Radical Remission. And out of the 10 habits of people who completely healed themselves with no medical intervention, I was already doing 8 of them, right? So that's pretty good, 80%. But the two I wasn't doing was accepting social support, and the big one was releasing past trauma. And that was my turning point. So right after I finished that book, Dr. Ron shows up on my podcast. I knew that was no coincidence, guys. Since we've been doing this deep inner work with him, my tumor has shrunk by almost 25%. But even more importantly than that, this black cloud that I had been living under, it lifted. And I started finding peace and joy again. Guys, now my family gets the best of me, not what's left if there is anything. We bought an RV and we travel with our two cute Dalmatians. And guys, we're more connected than we've ever been. And the truth is, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the truth is, the more you care for yourself, that you do self care, the more capacity that you have to care for others. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very vulnerable and very real with you. I was literally terrified to go back into my past trauma. I really thought it might push me over the edge. But here's what I can tell you after going through it. If you get with the right guide and you're willing to do the deep inner work, it will be the single best thing that you have ever done. Done for yourself, done for your family, done for anyone that you love or anyone you even come in contact with. And I do know what it's like to suffer silently, guys. And I also now know what it's like to live free. And when you heal from the inside out, your peace, your relationships, your health, your success, guys, your entire stock goes all the way up. Are they in the right place, Dr. Ron?
They are in the right place. And, you'll be able to tell just by, if you've already achieved success, but still feel like something's missing, you're not alone. The truth is your next level of impact, clarity, and fulfillment won't come from more effort. It'll come from developing greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And we specialize in guiding level of high achieving leaders beyond the limits of their relied on left brain logic and into deeper power of integrated whole brain thinking and conscious leadership. It makes all the difference. And through transformational inner work and proven really developmental practices, we help you heal what's unresolved, rewire how you think and lead, and guide you into accessing the authentic, wise, and powerful version of yourself that you've always sensed was possible. So if you're ready to lead from an authentic presence, unlock your full potential, and create success that feels as good as it looks, you're in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely in the right place. And I'm sure you guys have all heard of the hidden ceiling. And if you haven't heard of it, look up the study on the fleas. It's really interesting. The fleas are in a jar and they have no problem jumping out of the jar. But then the lid gets put on it and the fleas can only, once the lid's off, they still can't get out of the jar. And so we all have these hidden ceilings. And so here's some indicators that you might have hit your own limitation, that inner limitation, that glass ceiling that we all talk about. So really listen up for yours. Do your achievements no longer bring you the same satisfaction or excitement? Do you feel like you are always on and that you just can't relax? Or you feel like you're in constant overdrive? Do you feel like you have reoccurring challenges? But what I mean by that is it's the same issue, even though it might be with different people or in different circumstances. Do you feel drained or is your creativity slowing down? Do you feel disconnected from your purpose or from yourself and from others? Do your relationships feel strained or do you feel like this inner restlessness? Guys, our biggest blocks aren't outside of us, they're actually inside of us. And the biggest problem that Dr. Ron and I see in leadership today is that leaders keep looking outside of themselves for what can only be found on the inside.
Yeah, it's really valuable to be aware of indicators such as if your achievements are subconsciously tied to external validation. That success can really feel flat. Being in constant overdrive can be a reflection of underlying subconscious fears and not being enough or not living up to your full potential, that type of thing. And also, you recognizing recurring challenges or patterns can often indicate that we're at the effect of unconscious, subconscious, limiting beliefs. And the all too prevalent leadership fatigue can truly indicate that you're leading from pressure or control rather than alignment. It also means that you're not accessing your higher levels of thinking and all the related abilities that come with that. A great thing for you to understand is that a leader's inner restlessness and things, challenges that come into your life actually just stem from an inner calling to evolve. But all too often, I see that there's an uncertainty or self-doubt that holds people back.
Yeah, it's really tough, guys, when you don't understand what it is that's holding you back. And so there's like this inner operating system, and your nervous system and your subconscious beliefs are running the show. Literally, we're only aware of five, depending on which expert you talk to, 5 to 10% of our thoughts, or that's all we're aware of. The other 90 to 95% of our subconscious thoughts are running your show. And so we were recognized and we were applauded for being smart or getting attention and love as when we were a kid. And later, it might have gotten us into the right schools or the right jobs. And that logical left brain dominance is great for keeping up with our game of whack-a-mole, right? Coming up with new ideas and solving a myriad of problems every day. But while it got you to where you are, it's not what you need to get you to where you now want to go. We have to access more from within ourselves to step into an even higher level of leadership and success. Guys, an inner journey allows us to shift that noisy, distractive, subconscious thoughts into conscious awareness. And that results in our being able to be more self aware. And this is a big one, and it's very powerful, and to be emotionally intelligent, right, Doc?
That's true. That's everything. It really is. It makes all the difference in the world. And as you become more self-aware, you're also developing a deeper connection and acceptance of yourself. And that reflection, that sense of connection and alignment with yourself is reflected in your relationships with others in both your personal and professional life. And with greater self and other awareness, your mind becomes quieter, and a quieter mind leads to truly the blossoming of your prefrontal cortex. And that's really the intended conscious CEO of your life. Literally in that quiet mind and that blossoming of the prefrontal cortex, it literally takes over from the emotionally based and often overreactive emotional center, amygdala, that runs most people's lives, has them reacting rather than, really understanding what their best next step is. And the resulting neurological rewiring gives us access to what I call integrated whole brain thinking. It gives us certainly greater access to imagination, creativity, intuition, but also a great deal more. And while our insufficient old neurological wiring has us feeling burned out, our new system empowers and effectively upgrades us, quite literally. And all that seems challenging, all that in your life seems challenging now, and literally becomes opportunities as a result of your higher conscious perspective that looks for and really truly sees the opportunities within any challenge that comes into your life. You're now accessing the best of who and what you are and able to create with greater ease. Makes all the difference in your life. Really, truly does.
Yeah, it's absolutely that is the way it is, guys. And it seems like such a huge mountain. And it's kind of like when you were in high school and you had to do your term paper and you kept putting it off and putting it off. And then when you finally did it, it wasn't near as bad as you made it in your mind. See, our programs create a repeatable framework for transformation, and they're structured as a step-by-step system for measurable inner and outer transformation. See, the phrases and the functions of our transformational system, we've got to have a system for everything, right? And so, like the very first step in the system is awareness, right? That diagnoses the bugs in the leader's mental or their emotional system. And what that does is it gives us clarity about the root causes of the stress, like pull it up from the root about the root causes of the conflict and the inefficiency. So, step two, once we know what it is that we do the repatterning. And that replaces the limiting subconscious patterns with just what Dr. Ron was talking about, whole brain thinking. And this is presence-based responses. And what that does is it creates an emotional intelligence. It creates a calm focus. How many last time you were really focused, right? Focus is power. And it helps you create better decisions. What's step three, Dr. Ron?
Well, the third phase of our system is really integration. And here's where you're developing new daily habits, communication patterns, and leadership practices. And the outcome of that is really sustainable high performance and culture-wide improvement. And I see people's, not only are they seeing their own life and their family's life improve, but they see it really ripple through their entire organization. And the fourth step, then we move on to optimization. Now you're ready to really step into your power and do your best. And here we're aligning your personal higher purpose, or as I often call it, your greatest aspiration, what you need to breathe into, what's really perhaps what you want, but challenging, with the organizational goals. And the outcome of that alignment is exponential gains in your productivity, engagement, and innovation. And you're getting more done with greater ease. And it's this four-phase process, that really is truly our system. And it can be applied to any leader or team and really truly reliably produce transformational results. And I want to really emphasize that I see this really directly shift and increase productivity and profits. And I know that's what business is all about, but it's all about taking care of yourself and having a good time with it and bringing out the best in everybody.
Absolutely. And so, the direct link to what we're talking about, profitability, which, we're all in business to make a profit. And so the the way that it translates, I guess is the best way to say it, the way that it translates into the human system, when the human evolves, the business system follows. And so you will immediately have clearer communication, which results in faster execution cycles. Emotionally intelligent leadership gives you higher retention and engagement. Retention is one of the biggest parts of business, right? And engagement, people are there, they're showing up. It also gives you conscious decision making, which reduces the errors, reduces the conflicts. And the big one that we're all feeling right now is burnout. It reduces all those things. So when you have your purpose is aligned, it produces exponential growth and brand trust. That's pretty important.
And I want you to really understand that this is all research-backed improvements. This is everybody, we truly understand how this works and why it works. And organizations with self-awareness and emotionally intelligent leaders show at least a 40 to 50% higher productivity and profitability, as I mentioned earlier. You really, if your bottom line is what you're focused on, then this journey is what it's all about, is improving that as well as the quality of your life.
And people always love to hear stories, right? They love to hear like it. If you're not a coach, you're interested in coaching, right? And you're like, what happens behind the scenes? What really happens when someone goes through this? So I'm going to tell you one story of a client. Now she was a CEO and she had it all until she couldn't get out of bed.
Mhm.
And a while back, I started working with her. Her name's Lisa. And on paper, just much like myself, she had everything. I mean, she had scaled her company to 8 figures. She had earned like all the industry awards. She was always on stage. She was admired. She was respected by her team. She was respected by all the people in the industry. And from the outside, she was the definition of success. But what no one saw was the cost of it. Lisa was working 70 plus hours a week, waking up at 3 a.m. and answering emails, carrying the weight of the business on her shoulders. And guys, she told me literally, she said, if I take my foot off the gas, everything's going to fall apart. So one morning, her body made the choice for her. Have you ever had that happen where you're like, you get sick and you just can't make yourself do it? She physically could not get out of bed. And the doctor said that she was severely burned out mentally, emotionally, and physically. That was her breaking point and her turning point. And so in our work together, Lisa began to see that her relentless drive, it had nothing to do with ambition, which is what she thought. It was all about proving her worth. How many of you can relate to Lisa? She learned how to pause. She learned how to listen to herself. She learned how to lead without running on empty. Within 6 months, guys, she had cut her hours in half. She had doubled her leadership team's effectiveness. And in her way, in her words, I just love this. She said, I finally felt at peace for the first time in 20 years. Today, she still runs her company, but she's no longer sacrificing her health or her happiness to do it. Her success now comes from alignment, not from exhaustion. Lisa adopted what we call the pause practice. So, before this is so simple, guys, we're asking you for 60 seconds here. The pause practice before diving into your day, you take 60 seconds to pause, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what does my body need right now?
Mm.
This simple check-in, it builds awareness of early burnout signs, and it does it before they become an emergency. We
Yeah.
got a story for us, Dr. Ron?
I do. Yeah, listening to yours, I certainly identify with that with the clients that I work with too. But, I've been working with a lot of techs, execs in the last, few years. So there's a founder that I worked with who, what I would describe is he just couldn't switch it off. He just couldn't slow down and switch it off. And Robert had sold his software company, I think it was for $45 million, and friends just expected him to be celebrating and be thrilled about this. But he instead was still restless, anxious, and already planning his next startup, just ready to rev back up and rather than relax a little bit and enjoy it. And he really began to realize his success had never been about passion. It was really more about avoiding the discomfort of slowing down and just being with himself. And that's when he gave me a call. And through our work, Robert really learned to reconnect with himself and learn to trust the stillness, the quietness, and embrace what really actually mattered. Did go on to build his next venture from clarity rather than compulsion. He wasn't driven. It was really a joy. It was a passion that brought him into that. And, to help him, Robert created what he called the stillness appointment, where he'd scheduled one 15-minute do nothing block in his calendar each day. And, no phones, no work, no distraction. Just sit, breathe, and notice what thoughts and feelings arise. And along with the work we were doing, this process helped him to retrain his nervous system and find safety in slowing down. Not only he's not trying to avoid being with himself. He really fell in love with himself in a way. He really enjoys quiet times with himself and his family, and that allowed him to be much more enjoyable, in terms of others with his kids and partners. So yeah, it makes a huge difference.
It is powerful. So now that you've heard a couple stories, Dr. Ron and I have a coaching company and it's called Next Level Coaching. So we've both been through this process personally. We both know what it feels like. And you could choose to work with either one of us. We are ready, willing, and able to guide you through the version of yourself that deep down you probably know it exists, but you just can't figure out how to get there. Will guide you to the place that you most want to go. And the truth of who you really are, the unburdened, the unleashed, and the aligned. And guys, from that place, you'll finally be able to fully love and trust yourself. You'll be able to lead with authentic power, create deeply fulfilling success, and become the competent and confident person that you were born to be. So this is the exact process that we'll walk through in next level coaching, our private one-on-one coaching. Dr. Ron, who do you think that who's this for? Who should work with us?
Well, I would love to say it's for people who are inspired to grow and evolve, but usually we have to be running into something painful before we reach that point. So I find that it's really for successful, driven leaders who really feel stuck or misaligned in some way. It's not for people who are looking for just a quick fix or surface level temporary change. That's there's plenty of other directions you can go with that. So if anything that one of us has shared resonates with you, and we truly welcome you to join either one of us on what we call a complimentary discovery call. And that's going to help you determine your biggest saboteurs that are holding you back. And it'll also help you to see how you can move forward, creating the life that the success that you long for. So yeah, if you're ready to grow, book a discovery call with either one of us, Kara or myself. I think those links are in the chat, so you're welcome to take a look there. For me, this next stage is really going to be an interesting part of the presentation for you. It's a special bonus. We're going to guide you through what we call the saboteur quiz. We're going to do that right now. following the quiz, we'll do some Q&A. So if you're up for it, and discovering really which hidden patterns is silently limiting your success, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and we'll explain how the quiz is going to go. This is a self-sabotage quiz for high achievers. Here you're going to be exploring what secretly holding you back from fulfillment, even with all your success.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, guys, and we considered not doing this live on the show, but we kind of thought the best time to do something like this is when it's when you're here, right? Because we all have a tendency to I don't know, put off what we can do until tomorrow, those kind of things. And so we really, I'm having to do something all by myself here. That's a little difficult, but I
You
think I
can
can
do
do it. I want to share the screen so that you guys can see while we're going through it. So hold on one second. Okay, come on, slideshow, Zoom. We got this. We're gonna cut this out of the other one, I can assure you. But here we go. We're giving it my best shot. Hopefully you see that.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you go. Nice
we
going.
got this. All right, so guys, um, this is a really cool quiz, and if you will understand that you can do it on your own. However, it is better when you have a guide and when you're guided through it. And so the way this works is it's sentence completion with breath work. So you're going to take in a nice deep breath, and then I'll say the first one. I'll say the beginning of the sentence. And then on your exhale, you say what I said, and then just complete the sentence with A, B, C, D, or E, whichever one seems best to you. And so just write down on a piece of paper number one, and then write A, B, C, or D. So, number one, take a deep breath in. When working on a team project, I usually A, take the lead so things stay on track. B, make sure I stand out by over delivering. C, focus and make sure that everything is done perfectly. And D, help others so no one feels left behind. Or E, handle the strategy and topic. Sorry, handle the strategy and logic. Emotions just slow things down.
All right.
So write that
Good.
down and then we'll go to number two.
Yeah. And yeah, as we move into number two, just listen for which of these responses, A through E, best describes you. So when under pressure, I A, take control and push through no matter what. B, work harder, feeling I can't afford to fail. C, get frustrated when things aren't done exactly right. Or D, avoid upsetting others and keep the peace. And E, staying calm and detached. I analyze, solve the problem logically. Which one of those sounds a bit familiar to you?
Give you a second there, A, B, C, or D, and we're moving on to three. Again, take a nice deep breath in. I feel most comfortable when A, I don't have control over what's happening. B, I'm not performing at a high level. C, things are disorganized or inconsistent. I feel most uncomfortable when D, someone is upset with me or disappointed in me. Or E, I'm forced to deal with emotional conversations. Okay, take a second, write that down. We'll move on to number four.
You're doing great. Just stay with it. All right, number four, we're going to go with when people don't meet expectations. When people don't meet expectations, I A, step in and take over to ensure results. B, push harder to compensate or outperform. C, feel irritated that they didn't follow the correct process. Or D, try to help them succeed without making them feel bad. Or E, distance myself and focus on the data or logic. A, B, C, D, or E. Which one are you?
All right, keep coming with us. We've got a total of 10 here. So this is number 5. Take a good deep breath in. My success is mostly a result of A, my ability to take charge and lead from the front. B, my relentless pursuit of goals and accomplishments. C, my discipline, structure, and high standards. D, my ability to support and adapt to others. Or E, my sharp thinking and objective decision making. Pick one of those, write down number 5, and put a letter there.
All right. I support you. Just breathe and really feel which, A through E reflects who people see you as. And be honest with yourself. This is just for you. So, number 6 is people often say I'm A, intense or domineering, B, impressive but hard to read emotionally, C, rigid or hard to please, D, caring but really avoid conflict, and E, brilliant but emotionally distant. Again, A through E, which one describes you?
All right, you guys are doing great. We're moving on to perfect number 7. When I rest or slow down, I feel A, frustrated. I need to stay productive. B, guilty. I should be achieving more. C, anxious. Something might be slipping through the cracks. D, uncomfortable. I'm not being helpful. Or E, unfocused. It's better to stay mentally active. A, B, C, D, or E for number 7.
All right, let's move into number 8. The beginning of the sentence is, my biggest fear in leadership is. Breathe into this one. Really let yourself look deeply. My biggest fear in leadership is A, losing control or being seen as weak. B, being mediocre or not achieving enough. C, being perceived as careless or sloppy. D, letting others down or being disliked. And E, letting emotions interfere with rational decisions. Again, A through E, which one describes you best?
You guys are doing great and be real with yourselves. I mean, you will get some really cool results from this, but you got to be real. I get validation from A, being the one who gets things done and takes control. B, being praised for my results and my accomplishments. C, being known for my accuracy and high standards. D, being seen as kind, supportive, and caring. Or E, being respected for my intelligence and logic. Number 9, A, B, C, or D.
Or E?
Or E. That's what I think I said. What he said.
All right, here you're doing great. I appreciate you hanging in there with us and really looking deeply, breathing and looking deeply. The last one, which A through E describes you the best. 10. When something goes off plan, I A, jump in and reassert control. B, double my effort to achieve the results anyway. C, fix every detail that went wrong immediately. D, manage the emotions of the people involved. And E, rationalize the issue and redirect based on the facts. Which one are you? Which do you find? A through E. Which one describes you? Great job. Way to go.
You
And
did great, guys. You did the quiz, and we want to thank you very much for doing the quiz and doing that. And if you are curious, like if you want to know what the results are, all you have to do is I'm sure Sweeney put it in the chat over there, is click and you can have a discovery call with Dr. Ron or myself. So feel free to do that, guys. This is this is so eye-opening. And I would love to have anyone, any one of our clients, do this before and then do it again after they go through the our program.
Yeah.
And the results change dramatically.
I want to remind them to, if they want to get the score on their quiz, they can email that to either one of us too. So you've taken the quiz, but maybe you don't quite understand what it means or how it identifies a particular saboteur that you're dealing with. Well, send your answers to us, and we'll get it right back to you in terms of which saboteur and how that saboteur is playing out, and really what you can do with that. And it gives you a handle on that, allows you to become more self-aware and more emotionally intelligent right there. So good. All right. Go ahead, Kara. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, 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 you're fine. Thank you. So guys, yeah, feel free to email either one of us. And I really want you to appreciate that there are limited spots as of right now. We've got some coaches in training, but there are limited spots right now. But please take this opportunity, email us. Also, if you have any questions and you're right now on, this is a live presentation that we're going to repurpose. So you might be watching this as the podcast, or you might be on with us right now live. If you are live and you have any questions, comments, or compliments, please put them in the chat, and we will be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So, Dr. Ron, tell me a little bit about this saboteur test, and why people should want their results.
Well, it just gives you a clear understanding of what you're at the effect of. It allows you to understand where your limitations are coming from, and so that you can begin to focus on and handle those so that you're not at the effect of them any longer. And that's crucial and crucial. If you want to be more successful in your life, you're going to have to know what is undermining your ability to do that. And I can't emphasize enough that everything that's in our life that is really challenging us or getting in our way is really nothing but an opportunity to heal and grow and evolve. And that's how you become a better leader. You become more conscious. You become, more aware and handle issues and challenges from a whole different level. So yeah, you've got to understand what's sabotaging you before you can move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there is the judge, which all of us have the judge in us, and then there's the people pleaser, and there's all these uh different areas that were being sabotaged because we were programmed as we were children. And those things that worked so well for us as children to get us love and to get us what we needed
Yeah.
don't work for us so well as adults. And so it's kind of tough. So guys, right in the chat box right there, just click on either one of us, email us your test and your results, and we will email you back not only the results, but we'll also give you some insight into you specifically. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We genuinely appreciate your time.
You want to go into some Q&A or
Yeah, we're good. We're,
we're good? All right.
we're
Very
good.
good. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.